Fuck.
Why are we always doing this late at night?
Ow. Today, we're kind of announcing, I guess you could say, our first, or one of our first mountain bike helmet chin mounts that we make. So if you follow us, you'll already know that we make a line of enduro helmet, motocross helmet, ADV helmet, chin mounts that allow you to put the GoPro on the chin of your helmet so you can get the best point of view with your GoPro. We've done a couple of things that are different. First off, let me just start by kind of telling you about our mounts. So our mounts are custom designed for every helmet that we make them for. It's connected to the helmet with 3M mounting tape, and then we also reinforce that with zip ties. We use 3 different zip ties, and it just goes between the air vents. So it's not blocking the air vents in any way. It's mounted up to the surface of the helmet perfectly so that it fits all the curves and contours and everything. And our mounts are 3D printed using a pretty high-tech filament. It's a rubberized filament, so it's impact resistant. It's not going to break. Like, you can beat on it. Just like we've run this stuff over with a truck. We've smashed it with a sledgehammer multiple times, like repeatedly. We took that same mount, we dropped bricks on it, and it didn't break, and it was like still a perfectly usable mount after that. So no matter what, even if you went over the bars, one, it's not going to come off from the helmet. I think the zip ties are pretty bulletproof design, good way to like keep it secure and connected. But the mount itself is not going to break. So normally what we do with all of our like enduro helmets is we tend to try to connect it out to the side on all of the different helmets that we have. And the reason that these mountain bike helmets are a little bit different is because they're so skeletal. They have a lot of ventilation holes in them, right? So it makes it hard to mount to the surface. Like there's not a lot of great surfaces where you could create a mount. So you also want the mount to be lightweight. So the fact that it's just really small and convenient, and it's just not this big thing that's going to fit onto your helmet. It's really small and compact. The other thing that we do with our mounts, which is really cool, is we take a tip back angle into consideration. So when you're riding, right, and you're in the attack position, probably the most that you're going to be leaning forward. You're not going to be leaning forward more than what you can see, which is the top of the eye port here. So what we do is we create the mount so that they stick out just far enough so that you can get a parallel view of the horizon with the top of the eye port. And you can adjust these accordingly if you want to. Maybe you're sitting down, like you're pedaling, you're cycling, and you want to tip the mount forward, like you can do that as well. But you can at least get enough tip back angle so that you're not forced to like get the ground in your like handlebars when you're really getting aggressive and going downhill. The manufacturer is selling this helmet with a GoPro mount, which it could be considered like this whole controversial thing. Like some people say you shouldn't mount GoPros to your helmet because what if it gets snagged and you can cause neck injuries if you crash and all that stuff. So I'm going to take that as God's gospel truth that is not going to happen if you mount it to your chin bar. And I think ours are way better anyways because it does give you the lowest possible point of view. The reason we started mounting mounts to the chin of our helmet was because when you use a GoPro and you look at the footage afterwards and you say, well, the terrain was much more gnarly than that, right? A lot of the times it's because of the depth of the GoPro, right? Like if you mount it up higher on the helmet, it's going to be looking further down at the terrain. Whereas if you mount it to the chin bar, it's basically level with what you're looking at and makes it look a lot deeper rather than looking down on it. So that makes it look a lot more flat. A couple of things that we did different from most GoPro mounts, like you can see even this one here, the screw is supposed to go through this direction on that one. We've changed our screw direction to go through from right to left or this direction, right? And the reason for that being with the newer GoPro Hero 8, 9, and 10, you have the side battery doors here. And these are really hard to get open when the screw is going through from this direction. So it just makes it easier to get the battery door open and change batteries on the fly. We've also put these little tick marks in here, and those are tilt back level indicators, so you can take a look at those and see where your tip back angle is. If you find something that you like, depending on what you're trying to do, and you want to change the angle of your GoPro, you can set it to that as a kind of a measurement mark. Because I know in mountain biking, right, you're sitting down sometimes and you might not necessarily want your GoPro be tipped all the way back. You can tip it forward and know it's in the right position because you've lined it up with those tick marks. We get a lot of questions about whether or not our mounts are compatible with the media mod. And you can see here, obviously it is. Just a couple of quick notes about it though. It allows you to get the same tilt back angle as not running it, but GoPro intended for you to run the screw direction the other way. Basically, they notched out this area right here so that the screw head has a little bit more room. The real truth of the matter is that they also put all the electronics on this side as well. You can see how this side's quite a bit thicker than this side, which means that the screw head's basically buried in there and you can't really get a finger on it. Whereas on this side, you can actually get a finger on it and you can actually tighten it down. So it makes it easier, even though there's no cutout underneath, to actually tighten it down, which is sort of a unintended bonus to our design. Another question that we get a lot is whether or not the GoPro can be mounted upside down. So here you can see, yes, it can. If you were riding and the helmet was tilt back like this, it would be difficult for you to tilt it down far enough. So like, yeah, you'd have to be, I guess, a little bit aggressive in order to get that tilt back angle. I'm not exactly sure why you would prefer to have it mounted upside down when you can mount it right side up. It's just more protected when it's kind of up and out of the way. It's not going to hit you in the chest if you look down too far and get tilted up like that. But yeah, you can mount it upside down if you want to, if you have some special use case. So one of the things I wanted to point out about our mount is that it's equally good for mounting different kinds of flashlights. This is a light that you get off of off of Amazon. It's pretty standard light, but you can obviously use it to mount that as well. It is pointed just, a little bit down, and that way you get kind of like a good view of what's in front of you. I mean, obviously you would want it pointed down. You don't want to just point it off into space. And that gives you that centered kind of like light focal point, which I think is actually better than if you were to mount it on top of your helmet, for example, because with that light beam, you're going to get that dark area where it's blocked by the visor. That's just going to create this kind of area kind of right in front of your front tire where you can't see anything. Whereas the light, as opposed to like there again, mounting it on the side of the helmet, or if it's kind of like mounted off to the side, it kind of makes everything look like it's a little bit crooked. This light's going to keep everything centered. It's going to be right in your point of view, right what you're looking at. Last thing I want to talk about real quick is just why chin mounting. So I already talked about having that lower point of view that kind of gives you that deeper perspective of the terrain that you're riding over. There's a couple other reasons. It is more protected, right? It's not gonna, as opposed to it being up here, you're more likely to get hit by a branch and have your GoPro taken off. It is right in front of your mouth, so you do get better audio reception, especially with the media mod. It's like right there, so it's picking up every word you're saying. If you're doing cycle vlogging, is that a thing? I don't know. So if that's like what you're into and you're talking to your camera and you want to make it interesting in that way, like the audio pickup's going to be really good.
So I'm on the Scott Strike e-bike and I'm pretty excited about it. It's a mid-range bike, so it's not going to have the top end components of like a $10,000 or $12,000 top of the line e-mountain bike.
And it's centered, right? It's centered with your point of view. So you're getting camera footage that doesn't look flat. It doesn't look like it's off to the side. It's just like right there. It looks like what you're looking at when you're riding over it. So a lot of good advantages to mounting the camera on the chin bar of your helmet. That just makes it better footage for everybody else to watch. Lastly, what I want to talk about is what comes in the box. So aside from a very cool box, you're going to get a mount. Like you can see here, this is one of the enduro mounts that we make. It's also one of the older models. It's like hard plastic, and it was a little bit more brittle than the rubberized one. So obviously those are a better solution, but we've come a long ways in our little journey to make the world's best chin mounts. You're gonna get a couple of stickers. You're gonna get an alcohol prep pad. You're going to get a screw. And real quick, if you're shooting for Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Shorts and any kind of short form content and you want to shoot natively in that aspect ratio for the phones, check out our 90-degree adapter. It's also going to come with an extra screw or 2 extra screws. That allows you to mount the GoPro in our mounts, but vertically, so that way you get that right aspect ratio. It's going to be fairly obvious where the mount goes, but like I like to say, just like hold the mount up before you peel off the backing tape, the backing of the tape. So that way you can see basically where the mount's supposed to go, because they are specifically designed for the helmet. And even though they are rubberized and they do flex a little bit, there is a specific place where it's supposed to go. And that's, you know, where you should mount it, obviously. The mount, then you can just clean it with the alcohol prep pad, so you get the get rid of any dirt that's on your helmet, peel off the backing, and then stick it to the helmet. It should stay in place. And then we're also going to include, with our mountain bike helmets, we're going to include the appropriate number of zip ties. And that should be pretty self-explanatory, but there's 3 notched cutouts here, 1 for each zip tie. And that's going to be where the zip tie is supposed to go. And then you wrap it through the air vents, and that way, when you cinch it down, like, this thing is just never going to come off. It's one with the helmet. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, you can put those in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Like and subscribe to our channel, like this video. Check out our other social channels, which we'll add links to in the description below. We'll add a link to this video below. Check out our podcast if you're into enduro riding, because we do a lot of interviews with famous motorcycle professional racers like Graham Jarvis and Coach Webb and Destry Abbott, and we have a lot of influencers that are coming on, so that's exciting. And lastly, check out our cool new t-shirts. These are something that we just got in. It's about our podcast. It's merch wear. It's super cool. We love them. If you want to support the podcast. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll catch you on the next helmet review video about our mounts, installing things and doing stuff. That's super awesome. See you.